This morning I am sharing with you from one of my very favorite books, The Four Agreements by Andrew Ruiz. This is an excerpt which will make more sense later. The belief system is like a book of law that rules our mind. Without question, whatever is in that book of law is our truth. We base all of our judgments according to this book of law, even if these judgments go against our inner nature. Even moral laws, like the Ten Commandments, are programmed into our mind in the process of domestication. One by one, all these agreements go into this book of law, and these agreements rule our dream. There is something in our minds that judges everybody and everything, including the weather, the dog, the cat, everything. The inner judge uses what is in our book of law to judge everything we do and don't do, everything we think and don't think, everything we feel and don't feel. Everything lives under the tyranny of this judge. Every time we do something that goes against the book of law, the judge says we are guilty. We need to be punished. We should be ashamed. This happens many times a day, day after day, for all the years of our lives. There is another part of us that receives the judgments, and this part is called the victim. The victim carries the blame, the guilt, and the shame. It is part of us that says, "Poor me, I am not good enough. I'm not intelligent enough. I am not attractive enough. I'm not worthy of love. Poor me." The big judge agrees and says, yes, you are not good enough. And this is all based on a belief system that we never chose to believe. These beliefs are so strong that even years later, when we are exposed to new concepts and try to make our own decisions, we find that these beliefs still control our lives. Whatever goes against the book of law will make you feel a funny sensation in your solar plexus, and it's called fear. Breaking the rules in the book of law opens your emotional wounds, and your reaction is to create emotional poison. Because everything that is in the book of law has to be true. Anything that challenges what you believe is going to make you feel unsafe. Even if the book of law is wrong, it makes you feel safe. That is why we need a great deal of courage to challenge our own beliefs. Because even if we know we didn't choose all these beliefs, it is true that we agreed to all of them. The agreement is so strong that even if we understand the concept of it not being true, we feel the blame, the guilt, and the shame that occurs if we go against these rules. Just as the government has a book of laws that rules society's dream, our belief system is the book of laws that rules our personal dream. And these laws exist in our mind. We believe them. And the judge inside us bases everything on these rules. The judge decrees, and the victim suffers the guilt and punishment. But who says there is justice in the dream? True justice is paying only once for each mistake. True injustice is paying more than once for each mistake. How many times do we pay for one mistake? The answer is thousands of times. The human is the only animal on earth that pays 1,000 times for the same mistake. The rest of the animals pay once for every mistake they make, but not us. We have a powerful memory. We make a mistake, we judge ourselves, we find ourselves guilty, and we punish ourselves. If justice exists, then that was enough. We don't need to do it again. But every time we remember, we judge ourselves again. We are guilty again. We punish ourselves again and again and again. If we have a wife or a husband, he or she also reminds us of the mistake. So we can judge ourselves again and punish ourselves again and again. Is this fair? How many times do we make our spouse, our children, our parents pay for the same mistake? Every time we remember the mistake, we blame them again and send them all the emotional poison we feel at the injustice, and then we make them pay again for the same mistake. Is that justice?
I would like to introduce Charles Burnell, who will deliver our sermon entitled Spring Cleaning.
The sunshine has been more frequently accompanied by warmth. The spring rains have not been as icy. Gardens are getting planted. Storm windows are coming down, and spring cleaning is happening everywhere. After keeping everything closed up all winter, it feels refreshing to open the doors and windows. Airing out the house, listening to some good music, and cleaning up for the new season can be liberating. I truly believe it is not our place to judge others. When we judge ourselves, it should only be for the sake of debugging the system, checks and balances to ensure our success. One should never waste time or energy being demeaning to oneself. There is not growth, healing, or self-love in this kind of behavior. Yet, as many do, I learned to beat myself up and shame myself into improving and progressing. It was not healthy and did not work very well. Part of the programming affects me in my present life. When I get sick or I'm having higher pain days, I become uneasy when I am not productive. I feel the threat of my potential inability to function, and as a knee-jerk response, I push myself harder than I might otherwise. I have to stop and remind myself that I am just having a trigger response. The world will not stop spinning if I go easy on myself. I will benefit from taking the time and energy to self-nurture. Familial programming taught me to always be focused on the future. As a provider, the looming stress of being prepared for any potential burden or challenge is tightly woven into the fibers of my habits and choices. While this is not all bad, and I believe it has contributed to my personal characteristics, helping me to be a more responsible person, it has also come with built-in negativity. Forcing myself to slow down when my body needs extra rest should not make me feel guilty. And yet, it often does. The responsibility programming works fine under most circumstances. However, there is a flaw in the theory. It only works under a certain set of conditions. Health is not a variable that was ever taken into consideration. The fear and insecurity associated with my continued ability to produce triggers the response to increased production. Lean times are coming. When it comes to health, this exacerbates the situation. It has taken me years to learn how to not beat myself up over my shortfalls, to learn how to have faith in myself. Striving to reach the pinnacle of my personal balance point, I have actively taken time to try and really get to know myself. Trying as a part of the process, I have spent countless hours in deep thought, trying to identify and examine my programming. What rules have I been taught to play by, to respond to? On the surface, I know what I'm aiming for, but what I really wanted to understand what was happening in my subconscious, in my unconscious mind. I had repeatedly punished myself with shame responses associated with conscious acts of self-nurture. This is an example of where programming can be harmful. In an effort to change my life, moving towards healthier, more balanced patterns of daily living, I actively try and replace unwanted habits with strengthening practices. When I seem to be maintaining fine and one of my triggers is hit, I'm taken by surprise. My initial emotional response is to shame myself for losing control. I must take deep breaths and remind myself that I can maintain conscious control and focus on any extra steps I will need to take to bring myself back to a point of balance. Growing up in a variety of environments, our influences may include geographic regions, cultures, subcultures, socioeconomic living conditions, and of course, underlying religious influences. All coexist within the fibers of our upbringing. The concept that we are somehow obliged to make up for the sin of our humanity, that we are in some way or another not good enough, is a common misconception. It's easy to fall into this trap of self-judgment. We've been programmed to judge our successes based on a predetermined standard, a measurement based on somebody else's expectations. Functioning in the shadow of standards that don't really reflect my point of balance can be distracting. The urge to self-hate is strong. This is below the surface. If I really want to truly be free from these subsurface triggers, I have to be willing to really examine my core programs, debug, reorganize, and in some cases, install some newer programs that more closely meet the needs of my system. Programming can set us up for a variety of anxieties. Performance anxiety, self-judgment, and self-doubt are extraordinarily disabling. Where do these programs come from, and why do we continue to run them? Like computer viruses, they lie in wait just below the surface of our consciousness. We have to open up the cabinets, pull out the old boxes of photos, dust off the memories, and examine our hiding places. While it's not healthy to dwell in the past, it is necessary to clean out the old closets from time to time. This is when spring cleaning is the most liberating. As my house has been a place of physical hibernation through the colder months, my body, my temple, has been a place of emotional hibernation. In an effort to withstand all the challenges of winter, I have shut myself in, and I need to open up all the doors and windows, put on some uplifting music, and clean out the cobwebs. Taking inventory, reorganizing, and throwing out the stuff I just don't need to keep anymore can be a lot of work, but it feels good. Working backwards from my triggers, I try to navigate my way to the wound. When am I responding in an unhealthy manner? What fear am I really experiencing? When have I experienced this fear in the past? Is it tied to an actual event? What part of me is still hurting? When I find that part of me, that's the part I try and love the most. When you take the time to clean house like this, it becomes some of the most rewarding time spent with yourself. Whether it be hours spent in the garden, on a fishing boat, playing music, painting, meditating, riding your bike, or whatever activity helps you to reach that point of productive introspection, this self-nurture is vital. Upon further self-examination, I am able to identify what fear lies beneath the trigger. By focusing my healing energy on the place of my injury, rather than the situation that hit my trigger, I am able to work toward healing the wound and eliminating the trigger altogether. While I'm not able to fix everything with a good, healthy round of spring cleaning, it is a rebirth, a new incarnation. It is myself growing and moving forward. And I want to finish off what I wrote with a short prayer, again by Andrew Ruiz, a prayer for freedom. Today, Creator of the universe, we ask that you come to us and share with us a strong communion of love. We know that your real name is love, that to have communion with you means to share the same vibration, the same frequency that you are, because you are the only thing that exists in the universe. Today, help us be like you are, to love life, to be love. Help us to love the way you love, with no conditions, no expectations, no obligations, without any judgment. Help us to love and accept ourselves without any judgment, because when we judge ourselves, we find ourselves guilty and we need to be punished. Help us to love everything you create unconditionally, especially other human beings, especially those who live around us, all of our relatives and people whom we try so hard to love, because when we reject them, we reject ourselves, and when we reject ourselves, we reject you. Help us to love ourselves to love others just the way they are with no conditions. Help us to accept them the way they are without judgment, because if we judge them, we find them guilty, we blame them, and then we have a need to punish them. Today, clean our hearts of any emotional poison that we have. Free our minds from any judgment so that we can live in complete peace and complete love. Today is a very special day. Today we open our hearts to love again so that we can tell each other, I love you, without any fear, and really mean it. Today we offer ourselves to you. Come to us, use our voices, use our eyes, use our hands, and use our hearts to share ourselves in a communion of love with everybody. Today, Creator, help us to be just like you are. Thank you for everything that we received this day, especially for the freedom to be who we really are.